Hello, my friends. My cat is here to say hello too. One of my cats. It is Friday evening, a little bit after 5, about 5:10, and we're live. We'll see how it goes tonight. If anyone shows up, if anyone wants to talk, if anyone wants to ask me anything. Um, let's see. Let's queue up my blog. We're gonna do a blog reading, probably pretty early. I didn't get around to it until later yesterday and the day before. I skipped it all together because I was having a great talk. My friend Flower is here. Hello, Flower. How are you? How was school today? And you know what? I'm going to start the live stream session off in honor of my good friend, Destiny Forever Walks, PhD, and ask everyone to hit the like button. That's number one. That's the first time, right off the bat. Please hit the like button. Nope, you are not late at all. I'm just getting started, actually. You were here in the first. I haven't even been going for 2 minutes yet. I've been visiting some of my YouTube community friends who are live streaming themselves and giving a little support. It's a great way to get started on my own live stream, is to visit other people, give them support, and I usually try to keep them up and running on one of the windows on my desktop. Our friend Vincent, Horror of Spice, is here. How are you, Vincent? How's the walking and how's the book producing going? I know the book itself is finished, right? So now it's just in the stages of production. I'm going to get ready to read the excerpt from my blog. This is from exactly a year ago. And I'll go ahead and read it now and get it out of the way. And then we don't have to worry about it. I appreciate if you guys stick around to listen, but you know what? No one has to. Blog reading is not for blog listening is not for everyone. This is called The Deepest Joy of Green. And it is literally my favorite time of the year. Let me read from our friend Vincent first. I am well. The book is finished, just arguing about the cover. Tomorrow, 50 feet again. That's awesome. 50 feet. Consistent, too. That's big. That's big, Vincent. So, deepest shade of green. Springtime. And every year it seems like such a long wait for it to reach me. It's April, and warmer days are finally here, longer, and I bask in the extra light that's been given. Spending more time on my walks and runs, grateful to lose the layers of clothing that served me through the winter, and that I'm now able to give myself more fully to the sun. I truly love this time of year, being right on the cusp of the world literally exploding in its deepest joy of green, and with a splash of flowers arrayed brightly throughout the verdant landscape. Earth shows me it's alive. Winter's been more difficult these past few years, harder for me to gain any lasting warmth and harder still to experience any joy. Spring has become even more significant to me now, bringing a meaningful warmth that reaches past bone and into soul, my interior landscape awakening in its own deepest joy of green, a verdant display that matches what the season brings. Springtime shows me I'm alive. And so every day I note the hue of earliest buds and first leaves reaching for that extra sunlight. I am displayed by their colors, expressed through a flower's blossom, my soul warmed by spring's breeze, even as it still holds a bit of winter in it. I've emerged through a cold depth that seemed to hold so very little color, but it's springtime now, sunlight having extra hours, and the earth shares its deepest joy of green. So, well, yeah, that was just written for really, it was really just written from my heart because winter can be tough. Winter can be tough for so many of us. It can be tough when you get older. You tend to feel that cold a bit deeper. Um, if you suffer from any type of depression, then it seems to hit harder in those colder months due to lack of sunlight, due to the cold, due to maybe a little more restricted motion, harder to get outside, harder to be out there longer. Springtime reminds me that I'm alive, that everything is blooming, and that in the depth of winter, in the depth of that cold, we're always still alive. Spring is literally blossom in the depth of winter. We just don't see it. We have to have faith in unseen things. That's the whole nature of faith. Let's see. Vincent says, Flower says, school was great. Good. That's awesome. We have a project due on Tuesday. We have to build a miniature house. And our teacher said that the little did good, and we're competitive, so we're not letting that slide. Uh-oh. Kids a little. So I'm expecting big things. I don't know if you can post things on YouTube live stream chats, but if you can, you should post it. Let us see. So, yeah, springtime can certainly feel like a spiritual reemergence. But the important thing is not to really lose sight of it in the depth of winter, because it's still present. That spiritual force, that if we liken a flower's bloom to an offering of love, from sunlight to bloom, from bloom back to sunlight, that the flower blooms in appreciation for what the sunlight is doing, it begins in winter, or truly we could say, it begins when the leaves fall in autumn. Everything is a seamless display of itself, of life, in different stages, and yet it remains life itself. Beautiful thing to consider. It's been a beautiful thing for me to consider. So we will see what happens tonight in tonight's conversation. If anyone else shows up, I'm happy to sit here with my friend Flower and have a conversation. I'm also happy to sit around in silence. It's gotten to be very important for me to not needlessly cram words into every time I sit and talk, even on live stream sessions where the stated purpose is for me to sit and talk. However, silence has a message of its own that we shouldn't forget. It's actually part of conversation. Without the silence between words, I would just be sprouting consonants and vowels, and it would make no sense whatsoever. Flower says, excuse me, my eye itches. I was here at the first session, but I left after saying hi because I was sleepy. Well, I'm glad you got some sleep, and I'm glad you stopped by. Flower says, I just woke up a few before 3 a.m. for me, and you went live at 3:40 for me. Wow. No wonder you were sleepy. So I'm glad you had a good day in school, and I'm glad that you're excited about your project. I still get excited about my projects as well. Right now, my project is YouTube. Not just my channel, although that's certainly a project. And it's a priority, but I'm finding it, um, I get a lot of satisfaction and a lot of joy diving in on other people's channels, spending time there, sharing them out, keeping them up and running when they need watch hours, um, subscribing to their channel, putting in a good word for what they're doing. These are the channels that are important to me because one, it's important to the person who is putting it out there. They're doing it for a reason, whatever that reason is. Maybe they want to make a living doing it. Maybe they just want to share their joy, share their creativity, have a showcase for their artistic expression, share an aspect of their life. All that is beautiful. It's wonderful. It should be supported. And it grows. You support a channel like that, and the experience that you get being in that joy and being in that beauty and being in that enthusiasm first grows within you, and then you go out into the world and you give it away and you give it away. Things like that, that kind of spiritual joy, none of that is wasted. What is it the Katha Upanishad said about no effort? I'm going to look it up in a minute, but let me catch up here. Flower says, I just woke up a few before 3 a.m. for me, and you went live. I already read that, and no, 3:40 for this session. Okay. So, I was talking about the Katha Upanishad. Gives me an opportunity to Google. When I Google, I'm at my desk, and I look studious. I look like I'm doing something. I look like a serious scholastic YouTuber, hard at work, Googling up important information. Hey, C. Peyton is here. C. Peyton, how are you? I had you up and running earlier today. You were one of the channels I was just talking about. I didn't mention you specifically, but I was mentioning the importance of supporting the YouTube channels where people are simply sharing their joys in life, whatever that might be. You know, again, maybe showcasing their art or their talent, the things they love to do, the hobbies, their family. Maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they want to do something like me and come and talk about the things that are important to them. Meditation, yoga. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. And then you go there and you experience the joy of their channel, their enthusiasm, and it's literally contagious, because then you go out and you offer that good feeling towards others. Never take for granted the good stuff that you're doing and how it has that ripple effect. That's the kind of stuff that literally will heal the world. Peyton said that I am good. Thanks. You're welcome, my friend. Flower says Waterfest is near. That's a big, exciting time. And my friend that went to Thai for school is coming back for the fest. That's awesome. He's the principal's son, and he's younger than me, but he's very well behaved, very behaved. It's good to know that he's behaved. Flower says hi to Peyton. Flower says, I'm sorry, but your profile scared me. And we got Peyton saying hello to Flower. So, yep, I mentioned never having doubt. Of course, we all have doubt. Is it worth it? Am I doing the right thing? Should I even bother? Is anybody watching? Stay true to your message, stay true to your joy, stay true to your enthusiasm. Nothing else matters. I often quote, probably too much for some people, uh, the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is talking to Arjuna and he's instructing him in the ways of karma yoga. And he says, you have the right to your actions, but not the fruits of your actions. Because the fruit of your actions are unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. If we're going to enjoy them now, ever, in a future life, we don't know. The fruits of our action is always just past until they arrive. So we concentrate on the action itself and we perform it selflessly. Peyton says, sorry, I'm really into paranormal. My sister is very much into the paranormal. She actually belongs to a group here in the Columbia, Baltimore area. I don't know the name of it though. Peyton says, I like my haunted dolls too. See, that's the kind of stuff. Peyton, it brings you joy. You love that stuff. To me, that's completely awesome. I don't need to be into it. Although there's always a fascination in paranormal. That scariness fascination. And of course, paranormal is just another side of normal. You know, if it happens, if it exists, it's reality. We don't understand reality. We barely understand the little sliver of reality that we occupy. Flower says, no, it's fine. I just got a little jump since it's also was 3:56 a.m. It's very early for Flower. She's always up early, and she's always up late. This is a person who does not sleep much. Flower says, I like the paranormal too, but I don't want to try it since anything could literally happen. This is true. We don't understand what we don't understand. I think someone like C. Payton, who might have more experience in those matters, it's always best for those who aren't experienced not to wade in those waters. So I was looking up the Katha Upanishads because it deals with death, but it deals with the spirituality of death. And they talk about, this feeds into what I was saying about how your effort continues onwards, your effort of joy and enthusiasm, pursuing the things that you love. And now that's the type of stuff that will literally heal the world. And see if I can find the quote. They liken our path to a razor's edge, that it's sharp, easy to fall off of. But more importantly, they talk. This is the Katha Upanishads. The Yama, the Lord of Death, is giving instructions to his newest disciple, who is visiting. There's a story involved, but the important thing is the important thing is the message that Yama, the Lord of Death, is giving. And it's not that, we all have this fear of death. And it's not even mystical. He's talking about no effort is ever wasted along the spiritual path. It vibrates out. It carries on. The things that you do affects others. So it's important to base yourself in the joy. That's why doing things that make you happy isn't selfish at all, even in the least bit. It carries onwards. It heals. It helps other people. Um, Here's another quote from the Katha Upanishads. Those who do good become good. Those who do harm become bad. Good deeds make one pure. Bad deeds make one impure. You are what your deep driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. So you're putting out a good content on YouTube, whatever that might be. It's the content that makes you happy. That's the vibe you're putting out there. And again, it's the type of stuff that heals the world. Flower says, I also have a small fear of dolls. That includes the reason. I know a lot of people do. My stepdaughter did not like the porcelain dolls at all. They can certainly be spooky, and I can see how they can sort of represent the paranormal in a way. C. Peyton says, I always make sure that I have protection when we go out. Important. Comes with experience. Flower says, that's great. Flower says, I actually want to try the paranormal, but I don't know how. Better to, one, I'd wait until you were older. Two, definitely do it with an experienced person. You should visit C. Peyton's channel. And don't want anything to go wrong. Yeah, you certainly don't. I just want to talk to my grandma for one last time. And if she already moved on, I'm happy. You know, I don't think you need to be involved in the paranormal to do that. I think that you open your heart, that the Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh talked about, he didn't talk about reincarnation, he talked about rebirth. And Flower, we talked about this once before, a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that everything is continuously reborn. Every moment is reborn into the next moment. Every particle is reborn into something else, some other type of form. We're literally breathing in molecules right now that belong to Michelangelo, that belong to Moses, that made up Jesus. We're literally made up of the same molecules that made up everyone in the past, which fills me with no small amount of joy, knowing that right now I can touch the molecules that made up my father. He passed away 2 years ago. That my grandparents, that in any moment I could be breathing in molecules that had made up my grandparents. My father, who was a science teacher who absolutely loved science, would be thrilled with the fact that his molecules were making up a corner of a leaf right now, or a tip of a feather on a blue jay. That's rebirth. And that means that we can literally talk to anybody we want to talk to, anybody we want to reach, because no one's ever really gone. Everyone is still present. It's not in the past. So if you want to talk to your grandma, it doesn't ever have to be one last time. Just open your heart and talk to your grandmother, and you will literally be able, and it's from the heart, you will literally be able to feel her presence. The Real Opinion is here. Hello, my friend. Thank you for being here. Michael Robinson is here, and he's back. Real Opinions is back soon. And I always, every time Michael Robinson comes by and says that he's back, and then he says that he's back, and then he says that he's back, I always picture him singing Eminem. To me, Michael Robinson is indeed the real Slim Shady, and no one can tell me otherwise. I firmly believe Michael Robinson is the real Slim Shady. Um, Mike Robinson said, I just got power back. Well, I'm glad to hear that. C. Peyton is saying hi to Michael. And Michael Robinson is laughing. So, I always appreciate it when I get a good feeling when I know that Michael Robinson is back. Um, and also when he laughs, it means doing my job. It means I'm not taking myself so seriously, no matter what we talk about. You know, man, if I ever get to the point where I take what I say so seriously um, that I can't pause and laugh at myself, it's time to retire from YouTube. That's for sure. C. Peyton, and remember, Flower, this is C. Peyton's thing. She deals in this reality. C. Peyton says her spirit will always be with you, watching over you. Uh, Flower says, I saw the series called Hell Week on Sam and Colby's channel. Uh, it's a week at the Conjuring House. In there, there's two people that can make the ghost tap and stomp, and they use it to communicate with the ghost. Mike Robinson says, okay. Um, and remember, being always, when C. Peyton says always with you, doesn't mean in ghost form. It means in spirit, which is different. Spirit is everlasting. Even a ghost is temporary. In Tibetan Buddhism, they would say a ghost is trapped in a bardo. And a bardo is a space in between. This is a bardo, between this and whatever comes next. And then whatever comes next is a bardo. Literally an energetic space that we occupy, transitioning. A ghost is simply in a bardo. This is, again, according to Tibetan Buddhism. The Tibetan book, so often it's called the Tibetan Book of Tibetan Book of the Dead, but it's actually translated as the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying because it's a book of wisdom, how to die to achieve, how to live this life so that when we die without fear, we die at peace, so that we were reborn into a higher spiritual dimension, or we have a more auspicious reincarnation, if you believe in reincarnation. But the important thing is how we live in this life and how we die, which is why when I was with my father and he passed away, Michael Robinson said, I'm going to go drink a beer, come back, enjoy the beer. Have a good one, I hope. It's Friday, man. You definitely enjoy a good beer. Flower says, thanks. And you know what, C. Peyton? Definitely thanks. It's a comforting words to Flower. Flower says, I really wonder how old Michael is, because, no offense, they're like a little kid. I think we can all be like that sometimes. Michael Robinson said, I will. Mocha, most definitely. She actually said today when I was doing something, several times, she looked at me and said, how old are you? Got to maintain that innocence of being young. So, yes, so Flower, C. Peyton is offering some really valuable experience from her end, which is nice to hear and nice of her to share. So, yeah, I was saying when my father passed away, I don't know what happens happens when you die. Again, I've read several times the Katha Upanishads. I've read the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. I've read, who was it? William Moody? I forget his first name. Several of accounts, near-death experiences, stories of rebirth and reincarnation. But we only truly know when it happens. So, what I do know, and what we know scientifically speaking, is consciousness lingers in the body for some time after death happens. So I knew, even though my father had passed away, and I was there with him, I was holding his hand, I didn't want him to be frightened at what was going on. I wanted whatever experience he was having to know for certain that he was not alone. So I held his hand and I talked to him, and I repeated my own mantra to myself just to maintain that state. And I did metta, loving kindness. May you be at peace. May you be free from suffering and the cause from suffering. And I don't know if it made a difference for my father or not, but it certainly made a difference for me. Flower says, letting your inner child is the best thing to do instead of locking them up. I agree, 100%. And I've agreed all through my life, much to some people's chagrin. Flower says, but I got mature when I wasn't supposed to, and now I'm missing a piece of my childhood. You certainly are mature, that's for sure. But I'm sorry that you're missing out on part of a piece of your childhood. But you know what? Nothing's ever lost. And again, that was the message, coming back again to the Katha Upanishads, that no effort is ever wasted. Nothing's ever gone. So you can reclaim your innocence. You can reclaim that piece of your childhood. And certain shamanistic principles, they have what's called recapitulation. And I mangled saying that. If I try it again, I'll mangle it even worse. I'm going to try to sneak it in, a sneak attack. But it simply means you reclaim what happened, what seemingly happened in the past. As we know in quantum physics, there literally is no past. There's this moment. As we know in meditation, as we know in spirituality and non-duality, we have this moment. So you can reclaim anything that feels lost. Hey, Masha is here, our friend, Mayhem and Miracles. Appreciate you being here. We're having a great talk on seemingly lost innocence and death and dying and rebirth, our loved ones always being present, the scariness of porcelain dolls. C. Payton said sometimes they will see relatives before they pass. I've heard that. Which is a comforting thought, that there was someone there to guide my father. And there'll be someone there to guide us as well. Flower says hi to Mayhem. And we're getting some highs back. Flower says, well, now kids under 18 can drink, and the police military wouldn't even care if you have them cash and sweet talk them. That is not good news at all. C. Payton said, that's right. It is what it is. My friend Lewis is here. Salute, Eric. Salute, my friend. How are you? Sorry to hear that you will not be participating and the shirtless Saturday burpee-a-thon. I did a live burpee session this morning and did not care for it. Not sure if I'm going to keep doing burpee sessions live. Seems to break up the flow a little bit. Flower says, Gabe, not why does my autocorrect do that? There's no explanation for the will of the autocorrect. Lewis is giving the chat a salute. And it is what it is. Said no shortlist, but I did a live session today, 500 burpees. Wow, big session. I got a birthday in 2 weeks, and I'm wondering if I want to do something along those lines. Celebration of being alive, making it to a semi-advanced age, and still being able to do some stuff. I will be entering my last year in the 50s. Feels like a pretty big occasion. But then I remind myself, I started ultra running when I was 45, and I had 3 failed attempts at 100-mile races, and that I finally achieved my first 100-mile race, my first buckle, at the age of 50, just a week, actually just a few days after my 50th birthday. So who knows what 60 is going to hold. Masha says, milestones in life. It's a beautiful way of measuring our life, isn't it? These milestones, and knowing they're never behind us. You know, the biggest milestone of all is going to be the moment when we all pass away and become something other. Whatever that is. Do we step into heaven? Do we step alongside the throne of God? Are we reborn? I don't know. We all have theories, but we know it's a milestone. And then we have these other milestones leading up to it. So cherish every single one of them. Cherish the ones that are happening right now, the ones that are coming up. Mocha McCarty is here. That name sounds really familiar. Everyone's saying hi to Mocha. Masha says, are reincarnated? I just was talking earlier about a little bit about the difference between reincarnation and rebirth, with reincarnation being some type of self or soul that simply occupies another body, carries on the journey and the lessons of life that they're experiencing until they reach a specific state of perfection that we don't reach in one lifetime. And then, of course, we only have this life, and then we go to heaven, or more scientifically minded, sort of. Although I think science is really starting to re-examine that, especially in light of quantum physics. But it used to be the scientific thought was when you're dead, you're dead. But now we know that energy can't be created nor destroyed. We know that we are energy. We know through yogic philosophy that we're prana, prana being the very essence of everything that's animated. So it's eternal energy that never goes anywhere. It's reborn as something other. I like the thought of reincarnation. I love the thought of rebirth. And I simply don't know what happens. But hey, we'll find out when we reach that milestone. And it'll be something, that's for sure. Milka's saying hi to everyone. And Lewis says you should do a big session on your birthday, Eric. It's a great idea. If I don't do a big session, I'd like to maybe at least do 300 burpees. Michael Robinson is back. Michael, what kind of beer did you have? Steve Hayden says, dang, Michael, that was a quick beer. Hey, it was a long week, you know? Everyone's curious about the beer, Michael. He chugged it. Even in my best drinking days, which are many decades ago now, I told the story of how I quit drinking. And it truly was a miracle of grace. It was an epiphany where everything just shifted. And I went from a decade of drinking every day to simply being a person who no longer drank. Literally in an instant. I was given a clear choice. I was told if I wanted, I never had to have a drink. I never had to drink again if I wanted. And I don't even remember consciously choosing, but that's the direction I went, and I never drank again. But even in my best drinking days, I could never chug a beer. It was beyond my drinking capabilities, but I could down a serious amount of tequila. Flower says there are a lot of types of animes, and among them, I love one called Asaki. Am I saying that right? I'm sure I misspelled that. That's okay, because I mispronounced it. And it's about reincarnation, and I just have a thing for that. Bro, reincarnation, you're in a Buddhist family, aren't you, Flower? So reincarnation is really fits right in. Although there's two school of thoughts on that in Buddhism as well. There's the rebirth, which is more along the lines of Zen tradition, and Theravada, which is the Southern Asian tradition, and then the Tibetan Buddhism, where they speak more of reincarnation. Michael Robinson said it was a Corona extra special. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. 20%. Wow. So are we stopping at one, or are we going to chug another? Or did we chug one and then sip another? But I think having the theories that we have on what happens are helpful in how we go through life. If we think nothing happens, does it change how we conduct ourselves, how we live our lives? If we think we're coming back, does that give us the opportunity to shrug things off in this life and say we'll do better next life? I don't know. So for me, that's why I think rebirth is at each moment I'm reborn, holding on to the things that I loved and being space for the more things that I love to come to me, to come within me, actually. Michael Robinson says he doesn't know, waiting for it to hit me. If he chugged it, it should not take long. Mayhem says, have a great evening. Thank you, Masha. I appreciate you coming by. And then Michael will decide. Flower says, this is my first time with Michael in the chat, and I love it already. Yeah, Michael doesn't hang out often. Comes by, he says hi. He lets me know that he's still the Slim Shady. He's the real Slim Shady. Boy, I haven't listened to that song in probably 20 years. Michael says, I'll always be here, and if I'm not here for more than 5 days, I'm dead. If that happens, I will, and not just me, Milka as well, maybe even Flower. And maybe it is what it is. We will avenge your death. If you're not here in 5 days, I think C. Peyton might join in. If you're not here, if we don't see you for 5 days, we will certainly come and avenge your death. I gotta go through my stuff. I think somewhere, maybe in my basement, I might have a shield. Flower says, dang mate, what? Why did he say that, man? He's just saying, Flower. Flower says that's wild. C. Peyton, how did you get into the paranormal? Really, it's a fascinating subject. It's really amazing to think. It's even amazing to consider just how much we don't know, how much we take for granted. That in the world of science, where we have these, every few decades, we have these huge paradigm shifts, where we went from not understanding anything about physics at all to classical physics of Newton, and then relativity with Einstein, and then quantum physics, and then even within quantum physics, going to string theory, and then even now moving beyond string theory. Absolutely love the concept of string theory, how it's all based upon vibrations. Nothingness itself vibrates to the point where these little sliver of strings, smaller than the smallest particle in existence, and that is the birth of the entire universe. Because it falls right in line with the yogic Vedic tradition that I practice and teach meditation in, everything based on vibrations. C. Peyton says, watching paranormal shows. What was your favorite show? Michael says, what should I drink? Because I kind of want more. Do you have more of the Corona? Can't go wrong with beer. Well, you can, but if you're responsible. Flower says, my shoulders hurt. I don't even know why. Maybe because of the ungodly amount of attempts to do a handstand. That could be it. And the falls. Handstands could do it. What are my choices, Michael? C. Peyton says, my daughter and I are both empaths. Milka McCarty, up above in the comments section, is an empath as well. Not an easy thing to be. Could be a blessing. But I hate using the term curse, but difficult. Although I imagine with experience, and of course, C. Peyton, you can correct me, but I imagine with experience, maybe not get easier, but manageable. I don't know. Flower says, wine or another chug? I'm going to go with another chug. Truly or beer? Oh, like I said, I always stick with beer. But I'm laughing at Flower's comment. Another chug. C. Payton says he used to watch Ghost Adventures, but Zach Baggins turned into a real jerk. Like Nick Graff. Nick Graff sounds familiar. I'm not familiar with Zach Baggins. Nick Graff, though. It does sound familiar. Nick Ruff. Did he write a book? Nick Ruff. Nick Ruff. Michael says, right, going down with another. And Peyton is cheering him on. Chug, chug, chug. Peyton is, Flower is turning into a bad influence on our friend Michael Robinson. So, my friends, I'm going to take, this is melatonin with ashwagandha, which is an Ayurvedic herb. Helps you sleep, help you relax. The melatonin helps you sleep. Part of my sleep hygiene. And then I do some breath work a little bit later, about half an hour or so before I go to bed. I mentioned before, my sleep hygiene literally begins the moment I wake up. The things that I do help prepare me for sleep the following night. C. Peyton says he does paranormal shows. I actually haven't watched the paranormal show. I've seen clips and stuff on YouTube. Like Robinson said, it's gone. That was a powerful chug. Flower says, I have a lot of personalities and humors. I use them on different people and times. I can see that. Michael Robinson said, holy crap, I feel like I'm going to barf. You see that? I told you. Flowers was a bad influence on you. Flowers is laughing. I have to ask my sister what paranormal group that she belongs to. We live in not far from an area, historical Ellicott City. Lots of fires in the past, lots of floods in the past, recent floods as well. It's 250 some years old, I think. And there's supposed to be a lot of paranormal activities that have happened there. I worked there for quite a few years. And I never experienced anything, but I talked to people who lived in that area for much of their lives, and they all, almost to a one, would have stories of things that happened. C. Peyton says, well, Michael, it's an impressive act. Chug a beer could be likened to an art form. Michael says, Eric, what color are your eyes? They are blue. I am told. The contemplative tradition of Douglas Harding, who spiritual teacher. He's founder of the Headless Way, and it's a form of self-realization, self-inquiry, where you literally point and you look in the direction of where you're pointing, and you discover that you have no head. You've never seen it. You've never seen your face. You've never seen your eyes. You've seen reflections of your eyes in a mirror. You've seen photos. You've heard stories. Someone told you about it. Someone's told you what you look like to them, but you've never actually seen it yourself. And if we look for ourselves, all we find is emptiness. And that's the Zen realization, that according to the Heart Sutra, emptiness is form, form is emptiness. Not one thing becoming the other, but is exactly that now and always. Form is always emptiness. Emptiness is always form. So when we look and we see our headlessness, we realize our own inherent emptiness. And yet, that emptiness that we find is somehow aware, self aware. And it's aware of all the space around it, meaning it's aware capacity that holds the entire world. And that's our reality. That's who we are. We are the capacity that holds the entire world, that all allowing, all aware. Um, so I am told, to answer Michael's question, in a very long-winded explanation, I am told that my eyes are blue. Flower says I'm a good and bad influence. If I want to be, dang, my shoulders hurt. I cannot laugh at all. Well, sorry about your shoulders. But, hey, you worked for it. We worked for that soreness. All the headstands. C. Payton says a lot of history. Yeah, a whole lot of history. Mocha was cooking, and Flower says, Mocha, yummy, what's for dinner? It's a good question. But I know it's vegan. C. Payton said, I used to live in New Mexico and have a lot of history in the wild Southwest. Man, I love reading Carlos Castaneda. Now, he mainly took place on the Mexican border in Arizona, but that the whole Southwest, something about that desert area, and the high mountains in New Mexico as well. There's something magical. There is definitely, you can definitely step through those doors of perception, as Huxley said, in that area, I think, more readily. In the Celtic tradition, they call them thin places, because the door between this reality and another reality is very thin. And when conditions are just right, we can step through, or something else can step through over here. And they're so often found in desert places or in the mountains. Always intrigued me. I was very influenced by the teachings of Carlos Castaneda as well. I love the Hopi cosmology, how they literally came from a hole in the ground. What is it, a kiva, I believe it's pronounced? Who is Joe? Gayat. Don't know what that means. But I appreciate you being here. Who is Joe? And I can't answer that question, but it's a great question to contemplate. If and you, I never quite get that right, I feel. And we've talked about that before. What's your favorite book on the shelf behind you? Man, that's a good question. I have a copy of Huckleberry Finn that was given to my mother in 1941 as a Christmas present. And she read it over and over and over again because she loved it. Had a very hard childhood. And she would also read it to her younger cousins. And they all loved it as well. And then my mother gave it to me when I was a kid, and I've read it countless times. It's literally falling apart. And a friend of mine who made her own paper and did her own bookbinding actually rebound it for me. And I gave it back to my mother on Christmas, right before she began her descent, 10-year battle with Alzheimer's. And I was fortunate to share caregiving duties with my father and other family members. And so I have a lot of important books behind me. Some books on running, some books on all kinds of books on yoga, meditation, spirituality. We were talking about the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. I have a copy back there. But that's the book, Huckleberry Finn, for that reason. I appreciate that question. Um, let's see. Flower says, Joe is my mom. Oh, interesting. It's nice to meet you. Michael Robinson says, I'm definitely going to have a hangover. Yeah, chugging 2 in a row. Flower says, oof. Who is Joe says, praise Allah, praise Allah. Um, I would certainly praise Allah. Flower says, I don't praise any gods. And we got more praise Allah. Michael Robinson says, stop spanning. Kick him. Let's see. Yeah. I've never banned anyone before. Flower says, I don't want a square mate. Mocha says, ignore. Yeah, I think ignore is probably the best. I don't know. Yeah. So what I did, not wanting to ban anyone, this is my first time, I just put in a 24-hour timeout. I think that's better. I certainly don't have an issue praising any version of God whatsoever, but it wasn't really part of the conversation, and I think that once would have been enough. Once would suffice. You can ask someone to join you in praise, and they can accept it. They could say no. All of it's good. But again, once was enough, for sure. C Payne says Eric is he's spamming your chat. Yeah. At first I thought there might be a way to turn it around, but it didn't seem possible. So I appreciate your patience, guys. Milka is making vegan Asian meatballs. Milka has a talent for veganizing all kinds of stuff. Michael Robinson says, ooh, that sounds good. I imagine it is. Milka says, I know I may have opened up some jokes. Yeah, I thought about it. I thought I might be able to joke my way through the conversation with him. And I thought, I actually thought when Flowers said that it was her mom, that it actually was. But now she says, now Joe is not my mom. I'm just answering to the name. So I was trying to be polite. There you go. Nice. And there, clean chat. Yep, it is nice. Flower wants to eat now. Mocha Wolf. Yeah, Mocha would feed y'all. Coming over, knock on the door. Mocha said he was hoping to get a response that was against Allah. Definitely the wrong spot. I have no no issues with Allah. I have no issue with any aspect of, in my opinion, of a singular God that can appear in any form. It's not for me to limit how God shows up. If God is all appearing reality, then I certainly have no issue praising Allah. So, although, as Flower said, she doesn't praise any God. My thing is praise life. Life is the ultimate form of God. It's what we have. It's the only experience that we have. Everything is encompassed in being alive. Flower says, I'm not against it. I just don't like it when people force their religion onto people. I don't like it either. And um, I stay open to everything, don't close myself down to anything. But at the same time, I'd never want to force anyone to my opinion. I don't even take my own opinion that seriously, let alone someone else's. I had enough of that. I went to Catholic school for um, grade school, middle school, and my first year of high school until they asked if I would kindly leave and not come back, which was good for me. Mocha says, of course, Flower, we understand you. I don't praise any God either. No, she doesn't. Uh, Michael says, Eric, how long are you going to be live for? So I know probably no more than 10 minutes. I've been a little over an hour, and I appreciate you guys being here. Although all bets are off because my good friend Duncan Walsh, Fitness Motivation, is here, and that's always a game changer. Duncan Walsh being the most explosive burpee athlete in the burpee community. Mocha says, same Flower, I hate it when people try to force anything. I always think as teachers, as parents, as being in a position to guide others, it's always better to present opportunities and potentiality, what could be true, what could be possible. Show them ways to experience the reality of life itself, teaching meditation at a young age, teaching self-inquiry, teaching true prayer that goes past any single God into what Herman Melville said, silence being the only voice of God, so that children are capable of sitting in silence for any length of time, getting comfortable with silence. Imagine if we were taught at a young age being comfortable in silence, the difference in our life. Imagine if we were taught not to take our opinions so seriously, that an opinion is just a thought that's been repeated over and over and over again until we believe it. And then we get offended when someone else was having a thought that they were thinking over and over and over again. Seems kind of ridiculous. But imagine if we knew it was just a thought and we let it go. Brian Katie, who's a sort of considered a self-realized Buddha. She came to her Buddhahood through addiction, as a matter of fact, addiction to painkillers and other pills. Had a nervous breakdown, and during that nervous breakdown, she had sort of a dose of reality. And she came across with her own form of self-inquiry, where she would simply ask, is this true? Anytime she had a thought, is it true? Can you absolutely know for certain that it's true? How would you behave if you didn't have that thought? And that, just asking yourself those questions changes everything. Michael's going to stay. Um, Flower says, I want to start posting some stuff on my channel. That would be awesome, but don't know what to. Um, be yourself, Flower. Come by and have a conversation with everyone. Um, practice your handstands. Film the water festival. Film your school project. Duncan says, liking the yellow. This is, it's got a 50K logo on the back. This was a race that I did. I was the only one to do it 7 years in a row. First 7 years they ever had it. Always a fun race. Never easy because it was always in the mud. We were knee deep in the mud. And it was always in February as well, so it would be cold. Bullseye Running Club. So this is my Bullseye Running Club jersey that I proudly earned in my ultra running days. Flower says we've been live for an hour, if anyone wanted to know. Yeah, it's been an hour and 10 minutes. I've been putting in some longer sessions, and then I think of Masha, who regularly puts in 3 to 4 hour sessions day after day. And she is relentlessly positive. She's been a big inspiration for me that she sort of redefined what I wanted to do with my YouTube channel, that how I present it, how I present myself, how long I want to go on live streams, and really make live stream the bigger aspect of my channel, because we got unlimited things to talk about. I literally have a true fitness expert here, Duncan Walsh Fitness Motivation. And my good friend Flower here from an entirely different part of the world. We got Michael Robinson, the real Slim Shady, who's turned into really great company. It's a good friend to have here. C. Payton, who knows about the paranormal. We got Mocha McCarty, who is, for lack of a better expression right now, I'm going to say Mocha McCarty is my soul companion and expert vegan. So, man, just having a conversation with you guys could be the basis of my entire channel, and I would be completely happy about it. Hey, I'm going to ask a favor. I keep forgetting. If you guys could hit the like button. My friend Destiny Forever Walks PhD has asked me to remember in her absence to say that, because I always forget. Let's see. Flower says, they say that people wake up when someone is watching them. I wonder why I've been waking up in the middle of the night. Maybe C. Payton has some insights on that. Duncan says, slight change of subject. Have you ever taken drugs to aid meditation or your mental health in the past? Yes, not the mental health. Meditation back in the 80s. When I can't say I was experimenting with mushrooms and LSD. I was taking mushrooms and LSD. I was going to Dead shows, Grateful Dead shows, almost like a sacrament. And I had an interest in meditation. As I was saying to C. Payton, I had a big interest in Carlos Castaneda. I would go out in the woods and just try to be quiet and try to hear the trees, try to feel the trees. I had a bad experience with trees doing another type of drug that I don't want to talk too much about, and never would ever consider doing that. But the hallucinogens actually were helpful in a lot of ways, but not in meditation. They can open up a door. It's like Huxley said in The Doors of Perception. It opens up a door to another aspect of reality, but it's the same door every single time. You don't go any farther. They have their limits. For me, it opened up this great door of creativity. Everything changed in my life when I started doing that. Same with when I smoked pot. Um, but then it gets repetitive. And like anything else, you put it behind you. With meditation, it feels like a different door every single time. I'm walking through a different door into an ever expanding greater reality. The same with self inquiry. And the one that I explained, the headlessness. When you look and you realize your own innate emptiness, and that within that emptiness, the entire world is rising up, becoming. You have infinity to explore. You have an entire world happening right here. I can never get tired of even this little space that I'm in, because it's always something arising. The entire universe arising right here. Um, for mental health, meditation, breath work. Breath work has been a lifesaver for me. So that was a great question, Duncan. I appreciate you asking that. Flower says, communities I'm in get a lot of hate, and with my age too, so I don't really feel like dealing with hate. Um, yeah, that can be difficult. Mike Robinson said, I did. Um, Flower says, Michael, you gonna come tomorrow? Thank you. I appreciate you liking. Michael said he just liked. Michael, next time, um, next time you pop in, if you come in tomorrow, definitely let's talk about your experience. Milka says, very sweet to call me that. It is the truth. And it's the closest I can come to having a definition for what we've been for each other, because we've, as with all things, we've expanded. We've run out of definitions. We've run out of terms. We've become ourselves. That's a pretty good thing to be. Mike Robinson says, drop a like for Eric. Click the 3 buttons on the top right screen. Thank you. I appreciate that. And drop a like. Flower says, I don't know. I feel like I've been watched for like a year or something. And I have a lot of stuffies on my bed. Also, some dolls on my shelf. I'm surprised you have dolls. It could be your grandmother, Flower. I like that thought. I definitely like that thought. Flower, let's go with that. Could be your grandmother. Flower says, but she died long before COVID, and I expect her to be in heaven or in another life or in a better place. Hey, Flower, for your grandmother, what could be a better place for her than watching you? Holding you in love. For her, that could be her version of heaven. If she went to heaven and they said, what do you want above all else? And she said, I want to watch over my granddaughter. I want her to be able to feel me, to know that I'm with her. I want to be present in my granddaughter's life. For her, that would be heaven. That would be a wish granted for her. So there is no better place than watching. There is no better place than watching over a loved one. Not to keep referring back to my experience with my father, but when I was his caregiver in the last critical months of his life, there was no better place for me to be than caring for my father. Milka was there as well, and she was a great, great help to me and to my father. Um, it's a difficult place to be, but there was nowhere else I could have possibly been. It's where my heart was. Um, Flower says, "See, Peyton, it is calm, but I get a very uneasy and uncomfortable when I'm not against something or under my blanket. Like now, I feel like someone is behind me, like I'm not safe." I would say that you're always safe, and that even if that presence is not your grandmother's presence is still there, and that you are protected and loved at all times. Trust in that protection. Trust in the love of your grandmother and the loved ones around you. Mocha says, "Yeah, Flower, I have lost loved ones, and I hope they are somewhere safe and well." They are. Michael says, "I'm not typing much because I'm drunk as a cat after taking catnip." Understandable. Peyton says, "If you aren't used to it, Flower, it can make you uneasy." Flower says, "Don't drive." Wise words. And we know that Michael was smarter than that. Um, Flower says, "Yeah, I guess." Michael says, "I don't. Trust me. That he knows better." Yep, I knew it. I have faith in you, Michael. So, yep, I think, guys, we're going to shut it down now. Flower, remember, this is C. Peyton's thing. So, I would trust in that. I think she knows. Um, Duncan says, "I'm about to catch up on your bids. How's the back?" Hey, it's actually doing better. Um, I've readjusted my yoga routine once again, and this time um, I've added in some of the more difficult poses that used to give me trouble, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna work through it. I'm taking a little different approach with them, and it seems to be helping each day. So, fingers crossed. Flower says, "I stayed outside and bawled my eyes out on 2 nights we had her coughing in the house." Yeah, I was in a similar position with my father and my mother. Flower says, "Bye, sir. I'm going to be back tomorrow. And Michael, you better be here, mate. Tomorrow, mate." I hope so. You guys are always welcome. Uh, hey, you know what? See, Peyton, I'm going to give you because I don't have the capability of dropping a link. I'm going to give you a wrench, so if you don't mind. Um, so if C. Peyton wants to contact you, and then I'll stay online for just a minute if I know how to do it. So, Flower, um, in a minute, uh, if you see Peyton now has a wrench, and if you click on that, you'll be able to visit her channel, and you can reach out if you have any questions. As she said, what a great offer! You have an expert that can help answer your questions. Uh, Peyton, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And if anyone else ever wants to connect, and it's okay with everyone, let me know, and we'll be able to do that. Always happy to see when people can make a connection here. C-Paint says, "I got you, Flower." Good. I'm glad. Um, so with that, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Appreciate it. Uh, see Peyton. Flower, as always, you've been a great friend, as well as Michael. Appreciate you being here. Uh, Duncan, thanks for stopping by. I hope my videos passed the Duncan Walsh um, survey. And of course, Mocha. It is what it is. Lewis, I appreciate you being here. And Joe, even with your brief appearance, I really wish that you had left it with one praise yoga, praise Allah, sorry. Just one would have been enough. But we'll see. 24 hours, maybe you'll be back. Guys, have a good night. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.